Okay, wonderful. Here we are again. This is the Pearl and the Echo podcast. Welcome. Really hope you're well. Really hope that you're enjoying these little snippets from me and Dori. We're going to start with our 3 deep breaths, and then I'm going to hand over to Dori. So, in your own time, just loosen up, center yourself, feel aware that you're aware, and let's take 1 big deep breath. And when you're ready, the next one. And the last one. It makes such a massive difference to where you are in your day, that it really does. So simple. Anyway, wonderful. Dori, handing it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Jim. And thank you to all of you listening. It's been so nice to see people subscribe to the podcast, people comment and share. At time of recording, we've just launched our first week and our first episodes. We're really excited to see all of the positive responses. So keep them coming. Today, I have decided to share a bit of a longer quote, and it's not, we can't even call it a quote. It's a poem, and it's by Frida Kahlo. And if you don't know Frida Kahlo, I would be very surprised. She's a prolific Mexican artist and just a visionary and incredible story and life and work of art. Her pieces are just astounding. And so if you don't know her, go check her out. And she did a lot of writing as well. So here is one of her poems. In the end, I believe there is nothing we must do to be loved. We spend our lives trying to look more beautiful, more intelligent. But I've understood 2 things. Those who love us see us with their hearts and give us qualities beyond the ones we truly have. And those who refuse to love us will never be satisfied with all our efforts. Yes, truly. I believe it is important to let our imperfections be. They are precious, for they help us understand those who see us with the heart. So a bit of a longer one today, but I've been revisiting this one a lot because I feel like we really put just an immense pressure on ourselves to be this idealized perfect version, or this version that society wants us to be, or pick any role in your life, the perfect employee, the perfect partner, the perfect student, sibling, parent, anything. And I imagined if we just all stopped asking each other or expecting perfection from each other and ourselves, how different life would be. I really like how she just gives us permission to be ourselves with all the imperfections. They help us understand those who see us with the heart. There's so much in there. I could talk all day about this. Those who refuse to love us will never be satisfied with all our efforts. I think there's times we can all probably point to in our lives where we are trying to help someone and they're not looking for our help, or they're not ready to receive our help, or they're just not in a place where they can even begin to have us in their lives. And so it's this acceptance of the self, and then acceptance of just meeting everyone where they're at. I feel like that's what this poem is about. Meet people where they're at. If they're not ready to receive, then maybe give what you feel like you need to give to yourself, or find someone else who needs help, and share yourself that way.
Yeah, wow. That's big. That's funny, Dori, because on a mental level, I can read the first line. In the end, I believe there is nothing we must do to be loved. And intellectually, I'm like, yeah, of course. That's like this tiny, tiny, thin, paper thin layer on top of like a massive cliff worth of mess, of absolute mess. And I consider myself to be somebody who has done a lot of work with themselves, and just listening to that still hits things that make me want to just burst into tears right now. And it takes me to certain people who I have had in my life, or I still have in my life, or whatever, that it's just like, ow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? Like, that's okay. Like, I think that that's so human, and I think we all have those people in our lives, and they may they may be living or dead, right? And
Yeah.
they that's part of it. That's
Yeah.
part of being human, and it's part of love. It's part of
Yeah.
loving other people. You're opening yourself up to the ow of it all.
Yeah. But like this part, those who love us, well, they see us with their hearts and give us qualities beyond the ones we truly have. There is nothing to do, but I didn't get educated in that way. And also, my society doesn't reflect that at all. I can find very few examples in my society where that is a truth. And I can find a zillion examples where that is not a truth.
Yeah.
And to be kind of, I feel like the image, I feel myself wanting to, like, I'm kind of hanging off a cliff by my fingernails with that one, because I want it to be true. And if I go there and I try and affirm that, there's a selfishness there's a kind of, well, then for some reason I'm selfish. Yeah, and I'm sure you can come and psychoanalyze me, and you will tell me what someone will tell me what that is. So I have to not care. So I have to not care what
Yeah.
people think, and I have to not care what people say, and I have to not take any advice, and I have to not listen to anyone. Well, all of that equals I'm being selfish, as opposed to, no, but I have to kind of fit in and belong to something. Otherwise, if I don't conform to something in some way or other, I get ousted, I get rejected. I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wah.
It's the word that's coming up for me is unconditional. And so not only unconditional love, I think that's kind of what she's getting at. And not only to ignore the culture voices, and I feel like it's not all bad, but like the dominant culture is very youth obsessed, very obsessed with external appearance,
Yeah.
and at least in the West it definitely is. And you're right, like I didn't grow up like that either. It's always like, oh, you're too fat or you're too thin or whatever. It's always one or the other. It's not like, hey, you look healthy. I think we've internalized that because we've grown up with it, and so it's no longer just the external voices, it's also ourselves, like telling ourselves that. And I think that's why it feels like you're on the
Yeah.
cliff, right? It's like, I know this is true, but your whole nervous system is like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because yeah, because society, kids at school, whatever it is, saying you're too this or you're too that, or you're this or you're bad or you're wrong, does translate into I am too fat, or I am too thin, or I am not intelligent enough, or I am the wrong shape or color, or whatever the thing is. Yeah, and you internalize it, and that's internalizing, because you make a decision, you make an internal decision there of, I'm not right, I'm wrong in some way. And of course, we've all been taught that love comes at a price or a cost, or to be loved, something has to happen. You have to be a good boy, you have to be a good girl, or you have to do, and
Mhm.
that's massive, isn't it?
Mhm. Yeah. It's what I've found it really helpful, when there's negative self-talk like that, where it's like you're identifying with some of that so strongly, where it becomes your identity. Let's say like anxiety, for example, like I'm just an anxious person, or I'm anxious. That's just how I am, is to change the language a little bit. And this comes from acceptance commitment therapy space, to say, I'm having the feeling of anxiety. Like I'm having this experience in this moment. And it just creates that little bit of space. And so it
Yeah.
might be, if someone tells you like, oh, that was a really dumb thing that you did, and you hear that, you can say, okay, I'm having the experience of being judged and of feeling stupid in this moment, but that does not mean that I inherently every day am stupid. But
Yeah.
ooh, tell me how good how good I am at that. Not very, right? Like that takes practice, because then you're rewiring your responses and your brain, because we're human. Your initial response is always going to be like, ow,
Yeah.
that hurt.
Yeah.
That's always going to be the first response. And it's about getting yourself to the second, or what, the response that is safer, healthier for you. And
Yeah.
that's 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 our lives work.
Yeah, and but it's so easy to identify with these things, isn't it? And to identify yourself with wrong or bad or I'm sad or I'm depressed. No, I'm feeling sad in this moment or I'm feeling down in this moment. But as soon as we put the I'm this and I'm wrong or I'm not good enough or I deserve to be loved for who I am? And then I get to the point where I feel like maybe I do deserve to be loved for who I am. But then all the other people come along who are in that other system of understanding and they're playing the old game and you're trying to play the new game. And I think it's, as you and I, we're both very sensitive people. And as a sensitive person, I naturally want to harmonize and make everyone feel good and make everyone to be I just want everyone to be happy and enjoying the
Hmm.
thing, and one forgets oneself. It's almost like one doesn't exist, and then
Yeah.
for me to come into existence I've got to do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Nothing
almost
exists
like,
until you do.
oh, I wasn't paying attention at all to what I was
Yeah.
feeling in there. Just like hyper focused on everyone else. Sometimes I find myself even like, if I step away even for a little bit to like get a glass of water or something, I'm just like,
Yeah.
deep breaths and just trying to like recalibrate into the situation. I feel like this poem is really asking us to embrace our imperfections, and I feel like there's like a self-love. I mean, it's not like explicit in there, but this unconditional love towards the self and all of its imperfections. I think that's where that's in sitting with this for a while, that's where my mind goes, because it's very easy to chase this feeling externally, from people, from activities,
Mm. Yeah, but it's transient.
substances, right?
Yeah, but it's always transient. You kind of chase that thing, you
Yeah,
chase that love in whatever form that love is, and you get it, and then it goes. Like you
yeah.
chase success and you get it, and then it goes. And I think what's really what this brings me to is the 3 breaths that we do at the beginning of the podcast. Because when you stop and you just breathe, well, then you're not in that mind thing all the time. You're in a different kind of conscious space, or you're in a different awareness space. So you can be aware of yourself in a different way. And everything kind of slows down, and there is space for you to go, no, that's not the truth. That's not me. I'm not
Mm.
that thing that I was told I was, or I don't have that trauma that that used to have with this person because they treated me this way. It's still an imprint in a story, but when I slow down, I can allow myself to be distant from it.
Yeah, there's all sorts of ways to practice that. There's what I mentioned with the language around it, but also, taking a particularly intense memory and just focusing on that, and taking all the color out of it, and or taking your present version self and putting yourself in that memory and saying like, "Hey, I
Mm.
got you." There's all sorts of ways, and of course we encourage people to seek out professionals, because Jim and I are not mental health professionals,
Sure.
but it's such important work, and there's probably 1,000 different ways you can process that, right? Some people talk about doing shadow work. For me, it's art. I really it's this kind of like somatic experience where I will write a sentence, or not even write anything on a piece of paper, and then I will just go. There's no plan. There's no goal or output or outcome that I'm looking for something to look a certain way. I'm just trying to regulate my nervous system and process that sentence or that feeling or that memory in this kind of physical, artistic way. So
Mm.
I find that works for me, and I'm hoping to kind of help other people with that down the line. So yeah, what about you? I feel like you do different things. I mean, we do the patting down. I feel like kind of helps ground you in a
Yeah.
moment, but I mean, you play a lot of instruments.
Yeah, I think I do a lot of kind of sitting quietly, listening to the inner voices that go on in my head, but just kind of observing them, listening to them, but not engaging with them.
Hmm.
And yeah, and of course, playing music, but also being creative or being in nature. I spend probably most of my time maintaining myself in a conscious place.
Hmm.
And I really need that to be able to do the work I do. And it's very easy to get into that headless chicken place where we're rushing and trying to fulfill and accomplish and achieve,
Hmm.
because that is a needing to be loved in a particular way anyway, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's really easy to jump on the dopamine wagon and
Yeah.
seek dopamine all the time in every different way, including from people, even those people who insult you or are aggressive or angry or pick fights with you.
Hmm.
We know it's scientifically proven that all they're really doing is trying to get a dopamine hit by getting some kind of rise out of you, because then it makes them feel
Hmm.
good about themselves,
Yeah.
because they don't feel good about themselves.
Right.
I think what I really like about this poem is that if you zoom out of it, for me, what it's saying is this is what real love is.
Yeah.
And a lot of the love that you think is real love might not be.
Hmm.
And you can tell when a real love is real because you're naturally accepted for how you are. And for many of us, that never happened. To actually just be
Hmm.
naturally accepted is what, because that's what she's saying. You know,
Hmm.
your imperfections and all. So me like this. That's all right. Is it? That's okay. I'm not offending anyone. I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not bad. I still need to sit with that one because I'm not quite believing it. But in time, the more you sit with that one, well, then the more you're going to create a different way of living for yourself, because you're
Yeah.
going to respond to things differently, aren't you?
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's perfectly said, and you are perfect, Jim, the way that with all of your imperfections, and you are very loved.
Right.
All right. I'm going to read it one more time, and yeah, sit with this one. We really encourage you to sit with this one. It's so wonderful. All right, here we go. In the end, I believe there is nothing we must do to be loved. We spend our lives trying to look more beautiful, more intelligent, but I've understood two things. Those who love us see us with their hearts and give us qualities beyond the ones we truly have. And those who refuse to love us will never be satisfied with all our efforts. Yes, truly. I believe it is important to let our imperfections be. They are precious, for they help us understand those who see us with the heart.
Yeah, thank you. And if you're listening to this and our echo from that pearl resonates, then send it to that one person that you think it might resonate with as well.
Perfect. All
Mm.
right. We'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Pearl and the Echo podcast with me, Dori Sim, and my co host, Jim Rajan. Thank you to Rebel Mixtape Productions for editing this episode. If you like what you heard, like, subscribe, and share with those in your life that matter most.
That's my front door, Dory.
You wanna go get it? We can cut this part out.
Okay, hold on one second. Sorry.
No worries.
Sorry, it wasn't even for me. They got the wrong door.
Of course they did. It's
Let me
okay.
start that.
Now we have a good blooper.